Hi everyone, happy Friday. Sorry for the lateness of this video being posted. As a result, this Edpuzzle will be due, you'll have an extension till Sunday night. So at 11:59 p.m. So we're going to go through Crusades propaganda. We're going to analyze document B, which is super interesting. We're going to base it off of handout number 40, page 4. So if you were to, you don't have to open this up, but I just want to show you where we got it from. So if you go to page 4, you would see document B. You can follow along if you want, or you could just watch these slides. So the reason why this is very important for you to do this Edpuzzle is because we are preparing for the Crusades propaganda response. It's a 15-point quiz. We're going to start outlining it on Monday, Tuesday, then writing it in class on Wednesday, Thursday. Okay? So you want to make sure that we do this propaganda really well and we understand how to find propaganda. So this is what we're looking at. We're analyzing document B. So the first step we need to do is pre-read by evaluating the source line before we even read the text. Then we're going to consider the historical context. And then third, we're going to closely analyze the text to discover a potential bias. So let's start by step 1, pre-reading the source line. Document B is an excerpt from a letter written by Peter Toodbode, a priest who accompanied the warriors on the First Crusade. So, we need to do step 2, context. What do we know about priests during the Middle Ages? Well, we do know that priests are kind of low on the hierarchy in the Catholic Church, right? The Pope's at the top, the priest is second from the bottom. So they're not like that powerful, and that's something to consider. But we also know that priests and other clergymen went on the Crusades too, and some of the cardinals or bishops even led armies. Peter Toodbode probably didn't lead an army since he was just a priest. So another really interesting fact is that 1 or possibly 2 of Peter Toodbode's brothers were killed in battle during the siege of Antioch, which is a city in Turkey, on the way to Jerusalem. So you don't know this, but the siege of Antioch was during the First Crusade, when crusaders surrounded the city held by the Seljuk Empire and attempted to starve them out until they surrendered. And the Muslims eventually did surrender. During the First Crusade, the Crusaders recaptured land from the Muslims and created 4 feudal states. We had the County of Edessa, check this out here, and then the Principality of Antioch, which we're talking about right now, the County of Tripoli, and then the Kingdom of Jerusalem. So kind of the result of the siege of Antioch is that they were able to successfully capture that land and then make it under a Christian kingdom. But if we zoom ahead, all of these lands will eventually be reconquered by Muslims, which shows that the Crusades ultimately fail. Okay, but Peter Toodbode didn't know that. So now what I want you to do is answer the first question. Peter Toodbode wrote document B, but who was Peter Toodbode? Go ahead and answer. All right, the answer was right on the slide. It says Peter Toodbode was a priest who accompanied the warriors on the First Crusade. Number 2, please look at this note right here. Read it. Look at the note. Why might this author, Peter Toodbode, be biased against Muslims? According to the note, why would Peter Toodbode be biased against Muslims? He has a motive for hating them. Okay, hopefully you figured out that his motive for hating Muslims is because 1 or possibly 2 of his brothers were killed during the battle of the siege of Antioch. So his brothers were killed by Muslims, so he's probably not going to portray them in the best light. Okay, now we're going to actually read the text itself. So I'll read it to you and then get ready to answer questions about it. This is the story that Peter Toodbode is telling us. On another day, the Turks led atop of an Antiochian wall a noble knight, Reynold Porchet, whom they had imprisoned in a foul dungeon. The emir or Muslim leader spoke. "Reynold, do you wish to enjoy life honorably with us?" Reynold replied, "How can I live honorably with you without sinning?" The emir answered, "Deny your God whom you worship and believe, and accept Muhammad and our gods. If you do, we shall give you all that you desire, such as gold, horses, mules, and many other worldly goods which you wish, as well as wives and inheritances, and we shall enrich you with great lands." Reynold answered and he said, "I completely deny your God. I refuse your worldly goods and your gods." The emir was extremely irritated and ordered the immediate beheading of Reynold, and so the Turks, with great pleasure, chopped off his head. The end. Whew! What a story, right? This is some propaganda, y'all. So we're going to start off with number 3. Reynold was a noble knight in the Crusades, correct? So what happened to Reynold according to the author? Hopefully you said that basically he got beheaded because he refused to convert to Islam. Number 4, Peter Tudbo tells a straight up lie about Muslim beliefs in this story. Look at the options. Can you find the quote with the lies hidden in it? Straight up lies about Muslims. Find the lie in the quote. All right, hopefully you picked the quote where it says, "Accept Muhammad and our other gods." We know that that's a lie because one of the first pillars of Islam, the first one, is the Declaration of Faith, where Muslims have to say in Arabic that, I believe in there is only one God and Muhammad is his prophet, right? So the core belief of Islam is belief in one God, and they're very anti making Muhammad into a god, right? Muhammad was not a god. He was simply a messenger of God. So for them to say, right, Peter Tudbo to say, "Accept Muhammad and our other gods," a Muslim would never say that. So that's a straight up lie, okay? Next, number 5, what type of propaganda is being used in this story? I'm just going to narrow it down to 2. Was it name calling or card stacking? Which one did the Peter Tudbo use? Hopefully you correctly picked. He was doing card stacking, right? He didn't really call Muslims names. He did portray them in a negative light, right? He didn't say like, "Oh, they're all demon worshippers and they're all like, they're Satan and they're evil and they're dirty." Like he didn't really say that kind of stuff. He might have implied it. But the card stacking is like portraying the Muslims like, as killers, right? Like of killers of innocent people by chopping off his head just for not converting to Islam. So and making it's also card stacking because they make this noble knight Reynold. All they say about him is good stuff, right? That he is noble, that he refuses to worship other gods, and so they make him into a hero, and they make the Muslims seem like villains. So it's card stacking. Now, what about the second type of propaganda? Do you think that this person used bandwagon techniques or plain folks? Take a look at the definitions if you forgot. Is this bandwagon or plain folks? Hopefully that was hard. You picked plain folks, hopefully, because Reynold, the knight, was just a regular guy, right? He was a regular warrior on the Crusades. He's like anyone else at the Crusades. Even though he was a noble, right? He was probably like an upper class. Like we have the knights we have the king at the top, and then we have the nobles, and then we have the knights. So he wasn't like that high up in the chain of command, right? He was just a regular knight. And so if he could die and fight honorably till the end, then you can too type of thing, right? That's plain folks versus bandwagon, because it's like they're portraying him as just a regular guy. That was a hard one. Okay. So next is the question is, how accurate or true does this story seem? What do you think? Is it 100% accurate, or 20 to 60%, or 0%? Okay, hopefully you put 20 to 60%. It's so unclear. Because the author clearly lied about Muslims, he might have lied about other things too, right? But it's hard to say because some of it might be true. There could be a guy named Reynold who was killed by Muslims. But what is probably not true is that probably Peter Tudbo probably didn't witness it. How would he know what went on in a Muslim dungeon? right? How would he know unless he would, why would he even be there when Reynolds' head was being chopped off? So, it's like we don't know, there's not enough information, but he does seem like an unreliable storyteller. So because of that, it's probably only like 20 or 60% true. Our last question is, according to this story, the knight Reynold was beheaded by Muslims for refusing to give up his faith, making him a Christian martyr. So I want you to answer now and think back. Remember, martyrs are a big deal in Christianity, people who die for their faith. So answer, why would this story motivate Christians to join the Crusades? If you were a Christian living in this time and you heard this story, why would it motivate you to join the Crusades? Good job, everyone. Thanks. Bye.